Marvel might have just quietly dropped one of its most human stories in years, because Wonder Man is not what you think it is. No multiverse chaos, no end-of-the-world stakes, just fame, identity, and two guys trying to figure out who they are. And somehow, it hits harder than expected, guys.
This is the way. This is the way.
Welcome to Fatherly Phantom. I'm your host, Chris, and if you like Marvel, breakdowns, reviews, and all things nerdy, you're in the right place. So hit that subscribe button. Your inner nerd will thank you. Full series breakdown of Wonder Man. And I'm not exaggerating when I say this show surprised me in almost every episode. Let's get into it. Less noise, more focus, and Wonder Man feels like part of the reset, because instead of trying to save the universe, it zooms in on a single life. This is Marvel Spotlight done right. Small-scale storytelling, character-first writing, minimal baggage. And that's the key here, because Wonder Man isn't really about becoming a superhero, it's about becoming someone honest in a world built on performance. This show absolutely lives on its casting. Yahya Abdul-Mateen II as Simon Williams is doing some of his best MCU work here. Charismatic, conflicted, and deeply human. But the standout, Kingsley is Trevor Slattery, and together, they're the engine of the entire series. Their chemistry is effortless. That apartment monologue scene, no action, no spectacle, just two actors unloading everything they've got. And it works because it feels real. And Trevor, this is the version of him that finally feels complete. Still funny, but now grounded, emotional, and strangely relatable. Simon's arc is simple, but effective. He's talented, but terrified of being seen. And the irony? The more powerful he becomes, the less control he feels. Because how do you perform authenticity when your whole life is a performance? That's the tension driving everything. Now, it's not flawless. Some supporting characters don't get enough room to breathe, but the show makes a clear choice. It commits fully on its two leads, and honestly, it works in its favor. And episode 4, Doorman, is where the show really gets bold. A guy with a ridiculous power tries to turn it into fame, and instead of mocking it, the show treats it like a tragedy. It's funny, yes, but it's also one of the most quietly sad episodes in the MCU, and that balance is exactly why it stands out. Now, the ending. At first, it feels almost too clean. Trevor takes the fall, Simon gets success, everything resolves. But that's not the real ending, because Simon finally makes a choice that isn't about image. He uses acting, not as a performance, but as a connection, and breaks Trevor out of the DODC custody. And that flips the entire story, because Simon stops being someone who performs life and starts actually living it. Now the fun stuff, the Easter eggs. This show is loaded. Classic 80s Wonder Man suit straight from the comics. Rogers the musical evolving into an MCU film? Never thought I'd see that coming. Roxxon quietly continuing its shadow presence. Man, we've been seeing this since Iron Man. The DODC, the Department of Damage Control, it's tightening its control over powered individuals. Trevor's Mandarin identity still echoing through the MCU since Iron Man 3. And real-world Hollywood names now canon in universe. I love Josh Gad, and I hope we see him again. Where are you, buddy? And the Midnight Cowboy callback tying the emotional arc together, blink and you'll miss half of it. And dropping all this at once, not your typical move for Marvel, but I think it's a smart move. This isn't a weekly hype show, it's a character study. And binging it makes the emotional payoff land much harder. So here's why it works. What makes Wonder Man stand out is balance. It's funny without being empty, emotional without being heavy-handed, weird without losing focus, and most importantly, it never forgets the human story at its center. And the big news? Season 2 is officially happening, which opens up some big questions. Hero, actor, fugitive, something else entirely? And that uncertainty is exactly why it works, guys. My rating, 9.5 out of 10. Not because it's perfect, but because it feels different from most of the MCU right now. More grounded, more human, more honest. I absolutely love this show, and I can't wait for more. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure you subscribe to Fatherly Phantom, drop a like, and comment your thoughts. Did Wonder Man work for you? Or was it an absolute surprise like it was for me? Because this one definitely caught me off guard. And as always, stay nerdy, my friends, and I will see you next time.